Alright guys, today we're doing bracketology, March Madness 2017. First matchup, Duke versus 16 seed. Obviously Duke, don't need to look into that much. We got VCU versus UCF. VCU recently got a player injured. Marcus Evans injured his left knee. Not sure if he's going to be 100%. So I'm not sure about VCU. They do have a 16-2 in their conference, which is pretty good. But I don't know how good their conference is, and they don't have any very good notable results. They did beat Temple, which is in UCF's conference, but other than that, not much. And UCF is coming off a hot streak after winning their conference tournament, so I think UCF is going to win that. Mississippi State versus Liberty. I think that Mississippi State is one of the worst major conference teams in the tournament. I don't know how they're a 5 seed, so I think easily Liberty's going to take that. I think that would be an upset if Mississippi State were to win that, not going to lie. Next we have Virginia Tech versus St. Louis. St. Louis does look very tempting, but they only got a 10-8 record in conference, and they're obviously not in the greatest conference. But they did only lose to Houston by 4, but they lost to Florida State by 22, and they lost to VCU. They beat Seton Hall, though, which is pretty impressive for a 13 seed. But Virginia Tech beat Duke, who is number 1 overall, so that is very impressive of them as a 4 seed. So I think Virginia Tech's can win. 12-6 in their conference, pretty easily. Although I wouldn't be surprised if St. Louis took that. And then we got Maryland versus Belmont and Temple. I think Belmont's going to win that, and it's going to be a really close game, but I think Maryland is most likely going to take it because Maryland's just a good overall team. We got LSU versus Yale. Yale doesn't very impress me at all in any way. I don't know, really, how they would win this. They got a 10-4 conference. I don't know why they played so few games. But LSU, they beat Kentucky, who's a 2 seed. That's a pretty good win. And they beat Tennessee, who's number 1 in the whole country for a little bit. And they beat Mississippi State. They beat Auburn. And they had played Florida State. It was a really close game. A lot of overtime games, too, which is very impressive, which makes me be a little scared to bring LSU really far. But they are a very good team overall. 26-6 record, a very good record. LSU's going to go in the next round. And then we got Louisville versus Minnesota. Louisville is a good team. They're very inconsistent. They've gotten some good wins and some bad losses. Almost beat Duke, beat North Carolina once and lost twice, beat Michigan State, who is a 3 seed, I believe, or maybe a 2 seed. And then Minnesota, not a great team, 9-11 conference record, very unpromising. And their points per game is only 1 more than their opponent's points per game, which is, I don't really know how that's even possible, but yeah, I think Louisville's going to take that. I like Louisville easily for that one. And Michigan State, I don't know how. I mean, I'm not going to take a 15 seed over a 2 seed any day. That's way too much of an underdog for me. It's too much of a risk. Bradley's a conference in 9-9 and no notable results at all. So obviously Michigan State. Then we got Gonzaga moving on. Then we got Syracuse versus Baylor. We're going to see this matchup preview one of these days. Alright, shoot, didn't mean to do that. They have almost exact records. Syracuse did beat Duke once, but did lose twice, and also lost to Virginia by 26, so not amazing in that. They beat Louisville by 20, though. That's very impressive. Baylor did beat Iowa State, who's a 6 seed twice, but other than that, nothing else impressive. Orange has not been on a very good streak, and same with Baylor. They're on a 4-game losing streak to end. So it really could go either way. This is going to be a tough choice, but I think I'm just going to go with Syracuse. No reason why, but both of the teams are going to be out in the next round against Gonzaga anyway. Get some Nikkei 30 notifications popping up in the top. And then we got Marquette versus Murray State. This is going to be one of the most interesting games of the tournament because Murray State has a history of getting underdogs, of winning as an underdog. They have a 27-4 record, which is outstanding. Their points per game versus their opponent's points per game is on another level. Marquette also has one really good player, I know. And Murray State, yeah, I really have no clue who's going to win this. It's going to be very interesting. Marquette's like an average, good conference team, and Murray State's an insanely good low conference team. So I think I'm going to go with Murray State there just for an underdog. Just mix it up a little bit because I know a lot of people will probably be picking Marquette. Florida State versus Vermont. I think Vermont has a small chance, but there's no reason really to pick them. They don't have any notable results. I don't know. They got Anthony Lamb. He's pretty good. He averages 21 points per game. But I'm not really one to rely on one player to carry, especially against a high conference team. I'm going to go with Florida State. And then we got Buffalo versus Arizona State or St. John. I think St. John's going to win that. But Buffalo, not a great conference, but they're 31-3. That might be the best record ever. They beat Syracuse and also beat Toledo twice. Probably the best low conference team that will be in this tournament. So I'm gonna pick them. Not sure. I think St. John has a chance, but I'm not taking any risks for that. And then we got Texas Tech. Basically, Texas Tech is going to win this. No reason for them not to. But anything could happen. We got Nevada versus Florida. Nevada was started off the season insanely good. I know. I don't know what conference they're in actually, because their notable results are very win-loss against Utah State and beat Arizona State. And then we got Florida. Florida has a very poor record. I don't really know how they're in unless they won their tournament. I don't know. I didn't watch that. Their Nevada's ratio for opponents' points per game to points per game is very good. Yeah, I think Nevada's gonna win. Florida isn't looking good at all. Although I feel like they're more experienced, so they could win. I did think about picking them earlier, but I don't know. We got Michigan versus Montana. Michigan should win. And Virginia over Gardner-Webb. Ole Miss or Oklahoma. There was a glitch earlier saying that Ole Miss had a way worse record than they actually have, but I don't think they do. I think they have a pretty good record. If it's not loading right now, I don't know why. My internet is very bad, as some of my friends know. We're going to try and reload this. There we go. Don't know what that was wrong. They only have a 5 point more than they only average 5 points more than their opponents per game, and Oklahoma only averages 3 more. But they've lost. Oklahoma's lost 8 of their past 12 games, so they're definitely not feeling confident. Ole Miss is just good all around, and I think that they're gonna win this. I just feel more confident in them. Oklahoma's just not looking good. Wisconsin's versus Oregon. This could be an upset. I don't know. Wisconsin is definitely not a team I'm confident with. They lost 4 to start 4 to 5 to start the year. This says Oregon. Oregon won their tournament, but I don't think they're that good. I think that they may have gone on a little bit of a good streak, but Wisconsin is just better. Kansas State versus UC Irvine. I watched the UC Irvine tournament game that they won. It was very good. They've beaten St. Mary. They lost to Utah State and Butler, but I really like this UC Irvine team, but I don't know if I feel confident enough in them. They're 30-5. This is a good record. But Kansas State has a good record too. UC Irvine is 15-1 in their conference, which is insane. But I don't know. I think I got to go with Kansas State. I think I pick enough of upsets other than this, so I'm just going to take Kansas State. And then we got Villanova versus St. Mary's. St. Mary's has lost a few games that they should have won. Villanova is kind of very inconsistent, but they're still a solid team all around. They got a few solid players. A lot of their team left last year. They won last year, but they've got the running on problem. Too many people leaving after freshman year if they're good enough. St. Mary's. I think I'm going to go with Villanova. Villanova definitely looks like the better team, and I feel more confident in them. Purdue versus Old Dominion. I don't have any confidence in Purdue. I know that they've been upsetted multiple times. I used to have them going to the Elite Eight, and they lost. They have a win-loss against Michigan State, lost by 19 to Michigan, lost to Virginia Tech, lost to Florida, and a win-loss against Maryland. When Old Dominion has beaten Syracuse and VCU, which is two very impressive, and they haven't lost against any notable teams. So that is insane in my opinion. So I think just for the fun of it, I'm going to take Old Dominion. Because, there's always those bracket busters that people don't pick, and I'd rather get a perfect bracket than get an okay bracket but win my pool. I'm one for risks. I've got Cincinnati versus Iowa. Iowa is definitely not a good team at all. But I don't like Cincinnati's conference that they're in, with UCF and Houston being the only other two somewhat good teams. But I think I'm going to take Cincinnati because I just have more trust in them. And they have a good tournament record. It's pretty good. I know one year they faced UConn in the first round, which is both in the same conference. So that was an interesting game. And then Tennessee is going to quite easily win this. Then we got North Carolina versus Iona. Obviously, North Carolina. Although I think that's the most likely 1 versus 16 game. Utah State versus Washington. Utah State has the better record. They look like the better team overall. Don't see them losing with Sam Merrill as their star player. Basically, this could go either way. They're both very even teams. It's going to be an interesting game to watch, but Utah State is definitely just the better team based on stats. But, anything could happen. And then we got Auburn versus New Mexico State. That's going to be a popular pick, but Auburn is definitely they're going on hot streak. I think they won their tournament. I'm not sure. I could be wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. This might be a popular pick, though, because New Mexico State does have a history of upsets. They're 15-1 in their conference. They're definitely very good for their conference. They go to the dance almost every year. But I think Auburn has been looking good in their past games. Kansas versus Northeastern. Don't see Northeastern win this. Kansas has some good statistics. Kansas is going to win that. And then Iowa State versus Ohio State. This is a popular upset pick. But I don't see how Ohio State would win this. They don't have any good stats. They lost to Purdue twice, who I got losing to Old Dominion in the first round. So I think I got to pick Iowa State there. And Houston versus Georgia State. Georgia State has come close to pulling off upsets in past years, but if you look at their stats, Houston's is better and they're in a better conference. They're 31-3. That's tied for the best record in the whole tournament, which shows. But then again, I don't really love their conference with UConn because I live in Connecticut. And Georgia State lost to Liberty by 26 or something, I think it said. So Houston's definitely going on. Wofford versus Seton Hall. Seton Hall has been doing good in their past few games. But look at Wofford's conference record, 18-0. They are on a 20-game winning streak. I don't know how they would lose this. They're going to be hyped. They're a small school going in as a 7th seed. hella impressive. And then we're going to take Kentucky there, and we're going to end the first part of the video there. Alright.